Hello Dogs fans, Jacob here. Welcome to another episode of After the Dogs Roar for the season of 2017. And this week's episode is coming to you from Adelaide Oval, the beautiful Adelaide Oval, where our Western Bulldogs will be playing the Adelaide Crows on Friday night in a massive encounter. Of course, we'll be talking about that game very shortly at the back end of the show. But here's what's coming up on episode 23 of After the Dogs Roar. Going to start off the show with an overview of our AFL Round 15 clash against the West Coast Eagles, which took place on Saturday afternoon at Etihad. Going to be giving my Round 15 votes from that game for the After the Dogs Roar Best and Fairest Award. Then going to have a look at where we stand on the AFL ladder before getting into an overview of our VFL Round 11 clash v Collingwood. A look at where we stand on the VFL ladder follows that, and then a preview to our massive VFL Round 12 encounter v Sandringham. Looking forward to previewing that game. We'll also be previewing the AFL Round 16 clash for the Adelaide Crows, as I mentioned before, and then the 5 fan questions to end the show as always. So let's not waste any time. Let's get stuck into the show, starting with an overview of our Round 15 clash for the West Coast Eagles. So after beating North Melbourne in Round 14 by 1 point at Etihad Stadium, we were back at the venue to take on the West Coast Eagles, who have struggled to win games in Melbourne as of late. But they did get off to a good start because they had a 10-point lead at quarter time, the score being the Western Bulldogs 3-2-20 to the Eagles 4-6-30. We probably didn't have the best second quarter. In fact, we only kicked 1 goal, 3 behinds to West Coast Eagles, a couple of goals and a few missed opportunities that ended up being behinds. The score being at half-time, the Western Bulldogs 4-5-29 to the Eagles 6-9-45. We did keep ourselves in it at three-quarter time, even though we were down by a substantial amount and probably not performing the best that we could. With the West Coast Eagles leading 11-13, 79 to 7-9, 51, just really kind of conceding score, and that's what kind of pushed us out of the game at three-quarter time. We came back in style in the last quarter, but it wasn't enough. We were actually in front at one point, but Vardy sealed the deal, and the Eagles won by 7 points, and a deserving win for them because they did play some good footy throughout the entire match, and we were probably just not good enough, to be honest. The final score being the Western Bulldogs 11-14-80, more behinds than goals, not good enough, to the West Coast Eagles 12-15-87, also missed a few shots, but won the game by 7 points in the end. Let's go through the goal kickers for the match. Redpath, Hunter, Wallace kicked 2 each. Dale, Dixon, McLean, Roughhead and Stringer kicked singles. The best on the ground was Hunter, McRae, Bontempelli, Dale, Cordy and also Robert Murphy, who came back into the side for Tom Liberatore after being out for a few weeks. So I've made a list of positive and negatives from this game. I just want to get the first thing straight. I don't think this was our worst loss. We've had worse losses this year. I think the Sydney and the Melbourne game were clearly more worse than this game, even though this game was at Etihad Stadium and one that we probably were expected to win, considering the Eagles' form in Melbourne at least. But yeah, we've had worse losses. This was kind of a loss where we kept ourselves in it throughout the day. We weren't really in front until the last quarter. and then obviously the Eagles were able to seal the deal and win by 7 points. But let's go through the positives. There is some positives I've taken out of this game. I thought we had some good run and carry at times in this game inside the forward 50. At times we were able to produce a bit of space, which was able to give us some scores at time. We probably didn't do enough of it, but at times it looked really, really good. I think Redpath is a real kind of player that needs to stay in. I think he's the shining light that we need up forward at the moment, because we don't really have a key target. Tom Boyd being out. We Stringer out of form. Redpath is that tall sort of guy. He needs to stay in and needs to stay up forward for me. I thought it was a good comeback in the last quarter. You know, we could have been, obviously I'm sure a lot of people were not giving us much of a chance at three-quarter time, but we're able to come back, get in front. Obviously, we lost the game though, but it was a good comeback, good fight in the last quarter at least, but of course wasn't enough. A lot of negatives coming out of this game. Our skills, I think since the bye, but even before the bye, have just been not up to scratch. We haven't been getting the basics right, and I think that's what's actually costing us games. For example, the Redpath kick off the ground to McLean, that's just not good enough. And then you have these sloppy little kind of handballs and kicking into the centre where there's a 2-on-1 situation and so forth. It's not very great at all. So we need to get the basic fundamentals of the game right if we're actually going to win games. Poor awareness from Mitch Honeychurch at one stage, of course, clashing with the umpire, completely his fault. Just didn't have much awareness at all. So that's something I think Mitch Honeychurch needs to improve on. Not enough numbers in defence. At times we were quite loose in defence. There were situations where there would be 2 forwards and 1 defender. Who's going to win the ball in that situation? Of course, it's going to be the opposition. So completely not good enough in terms of our defence. And I think I'm correct by saying that I don't really think we've replaced Hamling very well this season. I know Marcus Adams is out with an injury, but I don't think we've actually filled the void of Hamling leaving. That's just my opinion. So, look, I think we need to man up more in situations when the opposition has the ball. I think we're too kind of loose and not kind of manning up and just man up for goodness sake. And no real targets up forward besides Redpath. I think we need someone else up forward, whether that's Campbell who goes forward or Tom Boyd when he comes back. Of course, Tom Boyd should go up there when he comes back. We need more key forwards, I reckon. We need a bit of height in our forward line. It's too short, and unfortunately it's not working at the best of times when we are getting it inside 50 because we're not getting enough efficiency from it. And the shorter guys are probably not doing their job by crumbing. So we need at least 2 key forwards, and Redpath's the only one in there at the moment. You could probably have Cordy in there. Not sure if he's doing that well in the forward line though at this present time. So not a great loss, but it wasn't our bad loss of the season. There were positive signs, but it's going to be a crucial game on Friday night. We need to win to keep ourselves alive in season 2017. We are only 4 points out of the you'll see in a minute on the ladder. We're only 4 points out of the top 8, but we need to start winning games and winning games on a regular basis if we're going to make the finals in season 2017. So, look, we didn't win many of the areas. We got smashed in clearances, 29 to 45. We won the tackles, but of course that wasn't enough. The marks, the Eagles won 84 to 78. We actually won the contested possessions, 152 to 148. But the kicking efficiency was way in the West Coast Eagles' favour, and they had more disposals than us. They also had more inside 50s with 60 to 55. Again, we had 55 inside 50s. This has been a bit of a trend the last couple of weeks, or I guess this season. No efficiency inside 50. We get all these inside 50s, nothing from it. So that's very, very disappointing. The crowd was 29,671. There was an injury to Redpath, but I haven't heard anything about that injury. Yeah, of course, a corked thigh. It seems like he's going to be all right for next week against the Adelaide Crows at where I am right now, the Adelaide Oval. Time now for the round 15 votes for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. Let's get straight into my one vote. I've given it to Zane Cordy. I thought he was tremendous in this game. He got 17 disposals, marked 7 balls, and I thought he was quite influential in the game. I thought he was quite a standout, and that's why I've given him 1 vote. 2 votes I give to Jack Redpath. I thought he was fantastic. He is the key forward that we actually need up forward at the moment. He seems to be marking quite well. He made 9 marks, 17 disposals, 14 kicks, 3 handballs, 2 goals, 1 behind. Luke Beveridge, keep Jack Redpath in the side for the remainder of the year, because once we bring Tom Boyd in, if Tom Boyd and Redpath can play in the forward line, I reckon we could have a better forward line than what we have right now, because we need some tallness up in the forward line, and at the moment, just Redpath up there, or just the shorter players, isn't cutting it. We can't have Stringer at centre half forward, too small. You need some tallness. I know these days it seems to be all about the small forwards, but I'm still the believer that you need some tall forwards up in your forward line to win games. You see, you look at the Adelaide Crows who are versing this week, and they're the top scoring team in the competition. They have a lot of tall players up in their forward line, so we need that mix of tallness up in our forward line with the shortness and the medium kind of forwards as well. And Jack Redpath provides that. So I've given 2 votes to Jack Redpath, 3 votes to Lockie Hunter. I thought he was outstanding. 2 goals, 26 disposals, 10 handballs, 16 kicks. He was quite good. 5 tackles. I thought he was best on ground for the Western Bulldogs. That's why I've given him the 3 votes. Time now to have a look at how that's affected the leaderboard. So Marcus Bontempelli still leads the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. He is leading on 13 votes. Caleb Daniels second with 12 votes. Joint third is Luke Dalehouse, Jack McRae and Lockie Hunter on 9 votes each. 6 is Jason Johannesson on 5 votes, who has been out of form as of late, of course. 7th, joint 7th is Lin Jong, Jake Stringer on 4 votes. Joint 9th is Wallace, Liberatore, Cordy, Redpath on 3 votes each. Joint 13th, Suckling, McLean on 2 votes. And then Picken, Dale and Campbell, joint 15th with 1 vote each. So that is the leaderboard for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. Time now to have a look at where we stand on the AFL ladder after round 15. The big story is that we've fallen to 10th place, and the Sydney Swans, due to that win against Melbourne on Friday night in round 15, have gone ahead of us on percentage and are now joint on points with us. They are on 9th, we're on 10th, of course, 28 points apiece. And like I said, better percentage they have than us. So that is quite a big story, especially now that we are really fighting our guts out to make those that top 8 for the finals. Of course, St Kilda, West Coast, Melbourne and Port Adelaide all 4 points clear above us and also the Swans. So of course, the Adelaide Crows, big game against them this week. They're second. They've only had the 4 losses this season. 2 of those have been at home, though. So there's a bit of hope that we can beat them at home, but it's going to be a very tough assignment, no question about that, because they've been one of the informed teams of 2017. So massive story. We're 10th. We've dropped to 10th. We were 9th after round 14, but the City Swans won and we lost. They have a better percentage than us, and so we've dropped to 10th after round 15. Time now to have a look at how our Footscray VFL Bulldogs fared on Sunday morning. I think I mentioned in last week's episode that it was actually on Saturday, although in the lower third it said Sunday. This game actually did occur on Sunday, not Saturday morning, so I do apologise for any inconvenience there. But it was an interesting game, this one. It started out with us having the quarter-time lead, 3-3-21 to Collingwood, 2-3-15 at Victoria Park. At half-time, we had a lead of 6-5-41 to Collingwood, 5-4-34. However, we didn't really have the best of third quarters because we let Collingwood in front, and they had a pretty healthy lead at three-quarter time, 11-5-71 to us, 8-6-54. It was a pretty tight tussle in the fourth quarter, but Collingwood were able to win by 5 points in what was a pretty good game at Victoria Park in round 11 of the VFL. So the final score being Footscray 12-8-80, defeated by Collingwood 13-7-85. It seems like whenever our senior side lose, our VFL side lose too. I think that's kind of happened more times than ever this season, if that makes sense. But let's go through the goal kickers. Jamison kicked 3, Broon Gowers kicked 2 each, Young, Short, Hayes, Russell and Williams kicked singles. The best players were Boyd, Smith, Short, Young, Collins and Hayes. Disposals, Boyd the most with the most disposals at the end of the game, 26 disposals. Clay Smith 22 disposals, Short 18, Williams 18 as well, and Hayes also finished with 18 disposals. So a few little talking points from that game. Of course, we lost the game, so that's a loss to our VFL side. We'll have a look at how that affects the ladder in just a couple of moments. But I'm really interested in talking about some of our senior guys in this side, because Boyd seems to be getting back some mojo in the VFL over the last couple of weeks. So you'd have to think that he comes back into the side v the Crows this week in round 16. Clay Smith's been pushing selection for the last couple of weeks now, so I think it's probably obvious that Dixon goes out and he goes in for the game against the Crows. And I really want to see Collins in the side this week. I think he's been performing in the VFL pretty well the last couple of weeks. Like I said before, I don't think we've really filled the void of Hamling yet. I don't think Jordan Roughhead is working up in the defence, so I would put him back in the ruck, maybe push Campbell this week up to the forward line. And because Boyd's probably not going to come back in this week, of course, with the short turnaround, but or maybe, I'm not sure. But I think Collins, I think he's 190 odd centimetres. As I have a look at my my paper here, as I just try and find him, he's 194 in height. So bring him in, I reckon. Bring him in and put him at full back, and hopefully because there's going to be a bit of height in the Adelaide Crows forward line, and we need to be able to handle that. So I reckon Collins should come in and play that key defender, get Roughhead out of the defence. It's not working. Put him back in the ruck. Put Campbell up forward. Put Cordy. I think I'm going a bit too far here, because this should be I should be talking about this in the preview. But I think Collins needs to come back in. I think come into the side this week. He seems to be performing very well on the VFL side. So Boyd, Smith, Collins, would love to see them in the senior side. So after round 11 of the VFL, we are 4th on the ladder, and we are on joint points with Richmond, Northern Blues, Casey Demons and Werribee. We verse Sandringham, who are in 11th place. So we would be expected to win that, although Collingwood were pretty low down the ladder and they beat us on the weekend, so it is going to be a bit of a danger game for us, but we are still in the top 4 after round 11 of the VFL. Time now to have a quick look at our up-and-coming VFL clash, our round 12 VFL encounter. It takes place at Trevor Barker Beach Oval this Sunday, the 9th of July at 2 p.m. It is our Footscray Bulldogs taking on Sandringham, who they beat by 99 points at Whitten Oval earlier in the year. So we should be expected to win this game, considering how that game panned out earlier before the bye in the 2017 VFL season earlier in the year. Of course, our Footscray Bulldogs must bounce back after that loss to Collingwood in what was a pretty narrow loss, of course, a loss by 5 points, which happened at Victoria Park on Sunday. So just repeating, our round 12 VFL clash, our VFL Footscray Bulldogs side taking on Sandringham Sunday the 9th of July, 2 p.m. at Trevor Barker Beach Oval. Looking forward to seeing how that game pans out. And time now to have a look at our important round 16 clash, which is taking place this Friday night, the 7th of July at 7:50 p.m. Melbourne time. That's 7:20 p.m. local time here in Adelaide. It's taking place right here at the beautiful Adelaide Oval. It is our Western Bulldogs taking on the Adelaide Crows. It is 10th v 2nd. We're on 10th, the Crows on 2nd. This game can be watched on free-to-air Channel 7 and Fox Footy if you have the pay TV option. Really looking forward to this game. It's a big game for our Western Bulldogs, who are coming off a series of losses since the bye. We've lost 3 and only won the single game since the bye in 2017. Of course, we haven't won interstate yet, so that makes this game even more harder. But I do believe in our Western Bulldogs side. I think if we can fix some things up, get back to basics, playing some getting our basic fundamentals of the game right, our basic skills, and you know, maybe getting another key forward up in our forward line like Tom Campbell to play a role with Jack Redpath, and also tightening up our defence a little bit. I think we can actually win this game, but it's going to be tough because the Adelaide Crows, they are the top scoring side with 114 points in the competition. We're ranked 14th for scoring in the competition. So, but however, we are the number one pressure side, so we can use that to our advantage and hopefully put on some dramatic pressure against the Crows. The Dogs have won 8 of the last 5 against the Crows. I don't actually think the Western Bulldogs have versed the Crows at the Adelaide Oval yet, ever. So this, I think, is the first time we've versed the Adelaide Crows at the Adelaide Oval. We have versed Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval, so we have played at the ground before, but I don't think we've versed the Crows at the Adelaide Oval yet. So this is our first time. I might be wrong in saying that, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct with that one. We haven't versed the Adelaide Crows at Adelaide Oval yet, so this is the first time we're versing the Crows at the new redeveloped venue, which looks very, very beautiful, as you can see. So, look, like I said before in the VFL overview, I'd bring Collins in this week. I think he's been performing well. I think we need a key defender of some sort. We don't really have that. Jordan Roughead is probably playing that role, or trying to play that role, but not performing very well. So I'd bring Collins into the side for possibly someone like maybe Honeychurch or someone like that. I don't know really who goes out. I would say Dixon, Honeychurch, maybe Biggs could go out. Maybe there's Johannisen in the line to be dropped, although I'd probably keep Johannisen in and just try and get some confidence in the bloke, even though he's probably not doing his money bag wishes ever so good. But I would also bring Clay Smith into the side. Tom Liberatore, we're not sure if he'll come in this week. Of course, he needs to show some top speed during the week, and if he can do that, then he might just come into the side. Matthew Boyd should return to the senior side as well for the game against the Crows. So a big game, must-win game. We really need to win this. We need to really show that we can win interstate as well. That's something we haven't been able to do in 2017. So a big game coming up here at the Adelaide Oval. Okay, time now for the fan favourite segment, and that is the 5 fan questions. Really love this segment, as I've mentioned on the last couple of episodes. So let's get stuck into it. Matt Button has got the first question. He asks, in your opinion, why are the Dogs struggling so much since the bye? I honestly think our basic skills are just one of the worst in the competition, to be honest. I don't think we've really executed our basic skills. And I think that's why, besides also our efficiency inside 50, I think that's one of the reasons why we're losing. Of course, turning the ball over as well is not doing our season very much, much good either. So I think it's the basic skills. I don't know, it's a hard one really, because I think I also think at times we're too loose in the defence. We don't tighten up in the defence as well as we should be. So I think that's the answer to your question. I think that's, in my opinion, the basic skills, efficiency inside 50, and just being too loose in the defence. Players need to man up as well. That's something I don't think we've been doing quite right this season and since the bye. Libba asks, if you could choose one player to have a big game against the Crows, who'd it be? I think Jack Redpath. I think I'd like to see him stay inside 50, play a full forward role, I guess. Kick a bag and win us the game. That's who I'd say. If I could choose one player, that's, I think, who needs to have a big game, is Jack Redpath, being that target inside 50. Of course, Jason Johannisen due for a big game. Whether that happens this week or not, we're not sure. There's probably a couple of others who haven't been performing to their best that need to have a big game. But I think Jack Redpath, if he can play inside 50, mark the ball, if we can kick it to him and he can be that target and he can kick a bag, he could win us the game. So that's my player, Jack Redpath. I hope he does have a big one this week, because I hope that he proves that he can actually be that key forward, because we actually need him just up forward right now for a key target, as well as someone like Tom Campbell, Tom Boyd, when he's ready to come back in. Jamie asks, should we give JJ a week or two away from the club to freshen up, as opposed to a demotion to the reserves? I'm not sure, to be honest. He hasn't been playing well, has he? And it's putting pressure on him because he wants this big sum of money, apparently, and he's not performing and he's not playing that player that's worth that much. So, look, I'd keep him in the side this week. Keep him in the side. Maybe try and play him at left wing or something like that and take him off the back pocket. Maybe we just need to get some confidence into him or something. He just needs something to try and have a good game. He needs to try and this tagging business, we can go on and on about this tagging business, but he needs to try and play with that pressure on him. He needs to learn to play with that pressure because he's not the first person who's actually been tagged. He needs to try and push his opponent off and get away from his opponent, run his opponent off the ground and try and just generate some play and some confidence for himself. So, look, I would keep him in the side this week, but if he keeps going the way he is and not performing well and not getting enough of the ball, then and not really being a big influence, then you'd have to say he needs to be dropped. But I don't think he should. I don't think he needs a week or two away from the club. I think he needs to stay in the side and try and get some confidence and try and do something, influence the game, try and prove that you're actually worth the money that you want. Red WB asks, would fans like to see Jake Stringer in the centre? I think it would be. It would be good to see. I think he's one of those small type forwards that is probably too small to be a key forward at times, which is why he probably doesn't get so much of the ball these days. Probably because he's been named at centre half forward and silly positions like that when he should be playing pocket and flanks and wings, because that's the kind of player he is. He's speedy, he crumbs, he can, gather the ball inside 50 into space and then be able to, run in and kick the goal. So he's that kind of player. He's not a key forward or anything like that. So yeah, I think it would be good to see him more in the midfield. Try and get him to be influential up defence as well as forward, and try and be that all-round player. He is a good asset to our forward line though when he's having a good day, and I still believe that he has a big part to play up forward. But it would be great to see him more in the centre. Matty Lyons asks an interesting question: would we be too top heavy with Roughhead Campbell and Tom Boyd in the team? I don't really think so. I think we need some tallness in our team. You probably look at other teams who have been very successful with small forwards, and I guess we were kind of successful with a smallish team at times last year. But then we had Hamling up in the defence, Tom Boyd up in the forward, and players like that. So and obviously Dixon's a tall kind of player. I don't think we would be too heavy. I think it would be good if we could have maybe Tom Boyd up in the forward line, Redpath, up in the forward line. Maybe try and slot Tom Campbell in, or put him on the bench and have him rotating with Jordan Roughhead in the ruck, and then obviously, I don't think we would be too top heavy, but maybe we would maybe get away with two of those players in our team as opposed to three. But I don't think we'd be too top heavy. I think we do need some tallness in our team, because I think the smallness part of our team is hurting us at the moment. That's just my opinion. Not 100% kind of sure about what I'm just saying, but I think we're just a little bit too small at the moment. And that is it for episode 23 of After the Dogs Roar for 2017. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the different scenery this episode here from Adelaide Oval, where we're playing a crucial game against the Adelaide Crows on Friday night in AFL Round 16. Massive clash, cannot wait for that game. It's really a must-win game, to be honest. It's a very crucial game because our season doesn't get any easier from here. We verse Colton at the MCG, which is going to be not an easy game at all. Colton are showing some really good form in parts of this season, so that's not going to be an easy game. The Gold Coast Suns are Kazali. Suns can play good footy at times, so that's going to be a bit of a danger game as well. Essendon, they can play good footy at Etihad. I know we can as well, but we've actually lost 2 at Etihad this season, which is a bit unlike us compared to last year. And then we've got the Brisbane Lions at the Gabba, which that could be a game we lose, to be honest. The way the Brisbane Lions can perform, and the way our interstate record's been this year, and probably last year as well. But our last 3 games are at Etihad Stadium. The GWS Giants, the game I'm actually going to the Giants game in a few weeks' time, in a month's time. Looking forward to that one, and then Port Adelaide and also Hawthorn, of course. The Port Adelaide one at the new Eureka Stadium, and Hawthorn at Etihad Stadium. Sorry, our last three aren't at Etihad Stadium. Our two of our last three are at Etihad Stadium. The second last game, of course, at Eureka Stadium. So it doesn't get any easier. Yeah, so crucial game this week. So don't forget to like, comment, share this video, subscribe to keep up to date with a new episode of After the Dogs Roar each and every week. Until next week, enjoy Friday night's game. Let's hope we get a win. Go Dogs. Bye for now.